I didn't expect a hike to remind me what belonging feels like. But somewhere between the wildflowers, the birdsong, and the rabbits quietly moving through the grass, I stopped feeling like a visitor. I felt like I was part of it. And honestly, I had forgotten what that felt like. I must have stopped every 50 feet. Not because the trail was difficult, not because I was tired, but because I couldn't believe how much life was all around me. Wildflowers covered the hillsides. Butterflies drifted from flower to flower. Birdsong echoed through the valley. Rabbits sat quietly in the grass. And every time I started walking again, something else made me stop. Another flower, another bird, another rabbit. Another moment I didn't want to rush past. At first, the canyon was quiet. The air was cold enough that I could see my breath. Bullfrogs called somewhere near the creek. An owl moved through the darkness. And for a while, it felt like the landscape was holding its breath. The trail climbed steadily upward. No birds yet, no flowers, just footsteps and the slow arrival of morning. Eventually, the sky began to change. The first colors appeared on the horizon. A thin moon hung above the hills. The world slowly became visible again. Beautiful, peaceful. But I had no idea what was waiting later. As I descended into the valley, everything changed. The hillsides exploded with color. Orange, purple, red, and white. Butterflies drifted through the morning air, and birdsong filled the canyon. The entire landscape felt alive. And I found myself stopping again and again and again. At first, I told myself I should keep moving, but eventually I stopped caring, because every few steps, there was something worth noticing. A flower catching the morning light, a bird singing somewhere above me, the sound of water moving through the canyon, a rabbit sitting quietly in the grass, then another and another. One stayed close enough for me to film, and while I stood there, another rabbit appeared from the corner of my eye. It hopped closer, paused, looked at me for a moment, and then quietly continued on its way. It was a tiny moment, the kind of thing most people would probably forget, but it stayed with me. Because for a few seconds, I didn't feel like a visitor. I didn't feel like an observer. I felt like I was part of the landscape, as though I had somehow been welcomed into the rhythm of the morning. The rabbits continued eating. The birds continued singing. The butterflies continued drifting through the flowers. Nothing stopped because I was there. And somehow, that felt deeply moving. Because I think so much of life is spent trying to earn belonging, trying to prove ourselves, trying to become enough, trying to find our place. We work harder, accomplish more, improve ourselves, Try to be more interesting, more successful, more lovable, as though belonging is something we have to achieve. But nature doesn't seem interested in any of that. The wildflowers don't ask us to justify our presence. The birds don't ask us to accomplish anything. The hills don't ask us to become someone else first. They're simply here. And for a few hours that morning, I was simply there too. Not producing, not performing, not proving, not becoming, just participating. And maybe that's why the experience felt so emotional. Because beneath all the noise of everyday life, I think many of us are carrying that same quiet longing. To feel connected, to feel accepted, to feel like we belong. That morning, surrounded by wildflowers, butterflies, birdsong, rabbits, deer, and the slow unfolding of spring, I caught a glimpse of that feeling again. Not because I found something, but because I stopped long enough to receive what was already there. Maybe that's one of the gifts nature offers us. A reminder that belonging isn't always something we have to earn. Sometimes it's something we remember. Slow down, look around, stay a little longer. You might discover that you belonged all along. Take good care.